coming up with evaluation questions for written, you can do it. Give them an extract, let them, especially for level 6 individuals, this interpretation and coming up with problem-solving kind of responses. You can go that route. Case studies for written. Yeah. Then there must be sufficient assessment items covering each of the 6 levels of the Bloom's taxonomy. Mr. Cage spoke of this. Knowledge, comprehension, understanding, application, analysis, and evaluation. Again, this one depends with the level. At level 3, you can't tell them to evaluate or synthesize something. Those ones, response down is upper and upper because they are cognitive ability. So you need to consider the Bloom's taxonomy. I'll share a guide. I'll share this guide with all those information. What I need to tell you about written assessment, the last bit on written assessment, which I feel is key. You know much about written assessment, but there's a bit I need to emphasize on. Whereby I like calling it synthetization, but it's just alignment. Synthetization, I like calling it synthetization, whereby it is a CBET aligned written assessment tool. How do a CBET tool should look like? The questions. There are people who have been doing it well. Yeah, the people who have been doing it well. I have to appreciate. If you are one person who comes to the questions that reflect real world scenarios, you are on the right track. There's a situation whereby somebody will say, explain 5 importance of a computer. That's one person. Na napeana 10 marks. Sindio? There's another person who will come up with a narrative. ABC Limited has employed a new ICT expert, and they intend to boost their ICT integration, their operations. Explain 5 importance of computer at ABC Limited. They are same questions, but the version in which they come out is different. The second part is putting the question in real world scenario. It is simulated question. The other part is just anywhere. The student learned digital literacy, but the digital literacy they learned is not related to the field, what's happening in the workplace. So what I want to ask you, those assessment items should be CBETized. I'll use the word CBETized. In that, you put them in the context of existing work environment. Yes, you may have those questions of state blah blah. Ni sawa. Ukishakuwa na hizo, kaa chini, put them in the context. Put them in the context. Reason being, we are assessing competence-based and outcome-oriented. We are reflecting on the real workplace procedures. They'll know if I'm going to work at this company, this is what happens in this company, and I should be able to do this in this company. They are not doing assessment for the sake of passing exam, but assessment should trigger their thinking beyond an assessment. Trigger their conceptualization of a concept outside there. There are many versions that I can give, but I feel that's what I wanted to tell you on written assessment. Those questions. Question 1, try as much as possible to CBETize those questions. There's a reason why somebody will say your tool is substandard. Ushaijiuliza mtu akikwambia tool yako ni substandard? Ushaijiuliza mbona amekwambia hivyo? Ni vitu kama hizo. Question zako does not trigger thinking beyond what you have given. Or the assessment items are not comprehensive. You have a lot of PCs. Kwa hizo PCs ni ngapi umecover? Should be 80% of those PCs should be able to appear. Then the questions, another thing I want to bring to your attention, the questions you are coming up with. If question 1 you have dealt with a certain learning outcome, don't go to question 3 repeating the same. The question should be distinct, and the question should not give hints. Question in section 1 umesema state 4 importance of a computer. Umeenda section B umesema explain 5 importance of a computer. Unajua mwanafunzi atafanya nini? Ile majibu ameweka kule atachukua alete huku na kuexplainie. You gave a hint already up there. There's no hinting. You don't give a hint when coming up with items. So, on written, make sure your question items comes from elements of competence, which are the learning outcomes. They come from performance criteria, which are in the OS. They come from range of variables where applicable. You know range? You know range, huh? Range just a duplicate of whatever is in it. You're just explaining what is in the PC that has been bolded. Huh? So it should come from those key areas. You don't focus on knowledge. Huh? There is a component called knowledge on OS. Huh? Don't dwell on that. Focus on range, elements of competence, and PC. That's where your question should come from. So we try as much as possible to minimize memorization in our questioning, especially for level 5 and 6. Huh? Question must at least be conceptualized, the way I've said, problem solving, ideas coming in. And you must as well follow Bloom's taxonomy, integration. I'll share this one, and there are many, I don't need to read this one through. Then last part, there is a report you are supposed to generate after you have developed a tool. Every unit must have this report. It's called critical aspect report. There's a template to it. I'll share. So critical aspect report, it gives somebody a map of what to expect in your question paper, whereby you use critical component in OS. You know where it is? Critical 1, critical 2. Zingine huenda paka 20, lakini wazipiti 20. Critical aspects. You know where they are? Utasema question 1 imetoka critical aspect number 1 and 2. Na hii ndio marks imepeana. Actually, what Mr. IQA was saying on table of specification is like that document you see that. Question 1 imetoka hapa, na hii ndio marks yake. So that, make sure you submit that document. So in a nutshell, I'm saying this. If you are developing tools, there are things I'll need from you. I'll need the assessment tools. It's practical oriented. You will need a question paper oral now. You will need a candidate tool. And we'll need an observation checklist for level 3 and 4. So, and we'll need a critical aspect report template. For For written, we'll need the candidate tool, the assessor guide, and critical aspect report. How many tools are they developing? A set or two? Two sets. One set. So you only developing one set, huh? For each unit of competence. So meaning for each unit of competence, those information should be available at the end. The tuseme we have cleared with you when you send your assessment tool, we must see them. Isipotumana tutasema incomplete work. Is that okay? Mr. Suja, is that okay? So up to that point, I wish I had a projector nionyeshe hiyo critical aspect report and how it's done. There are people who have done this before. In the first assessment and the second assessment, we did that. Hii third hatukufanya. But if you ever did it, you know how it's done. That OS vile iko, unaiangalia tu vile iko 1.1 inasema hivi, ni swali gani limetoka hapo. In other words, I'm able to know kama maswali yako hajatoka kwa OS. I'll know. I just look at that report and the questioning. And I'll always, we have subject expert in that area. I'll tell Mr. Haji, do you think this area is related to this? Mr. Haji will say no. You see? So usitoe maswali penye yafai. Your weapon ni moja, occupational standard. The last report will give me a clear picture penye umetoa maswali. I guess, Mr. Suja, I'm done for the day for this session unless there's another question.
Yeah, thank you for the sensitization. Though in the Department of Computing and Informatics, there's a core unit we teach, network design and management. So I was wondering whether we could integrate a simulation software. No, most of the resources we don't have. And in the learning outcome is they are supposed to know some of the things, and we don't have the resources, we don't have the devices. And those devices, even if we are to procure or to request, they are very expensive. And yet there's a simulator. Most of the TVET institutions outside Kenya, they use the simulators. So you're wondering whether we can incorporate the simulator, even in the work environment, like in the telecom, in Safaricom, and most of these established corporate organizations. In networking, they use the simulators. Once in the simulator it is working, that's when they can go in the field and incorporate it.
Yeah, it's okay.
And yet it has, you can document and even marking, even if you give it to even if you are not the one assessing, it has guidelines. It is able to document, it is able to save, and it also reduces cost. But here I've realized we don't use those software simulators, and yet they save on cost, resources, and those checklists, and those cutting lists. You don't need to procure most of those things. Like here, for example, you have 5 computers and 3 routers. You're supposed to simulate a workplace scenario. We cannot do it with the students. One router is over 300,000. And in the learning outcome, it is clearly indicated they need to know how to configure routers, they need to know how to configure switches, and those ones are used in a corporate organization. Here, we don't have. The switches which we have, they are not working. They are just for demonstration. They are dummies. And we are required to simulate.
Okay. Okay. Maybe I try to respond to your question. Huh? From my point of understanding, that's a crisis. And most of the time, crises are meant to be solved by us, huh? No one else. That's one. Secondly, I would want to ask this. How have you been training the same course? That's one. Huh? Second. Huh? Thirdly, let me just say it's a crisis. But I feel at this point I'm meant to try to give a solution and not to question what is happening. My solution will be, I don't know, there is medical department that did assessment some time back. They partnered with the hospital in Kilifi during assessment because they knew the facilities that they are having does not meet the requirement of that learning, that assessment process. So they partnered with North Coast Medical Clinic in Kilifi. They went there a whole week. Students did assessment, they came back. So I'll advise you, use the same route. We have industry around that can partner with you, allow you to assess and even train the same. What does that mean? An MOU has to be drafted for the same. Go into partnership, make it official, make it known with any organization within. Partnership, you know, kila mtu anataka benefit yaje, sindio? That's an agreement. That's on training part. So for me, I'll say this, I won't say much. It's a crisis that needs to be solved, and I feel that's the only way to solve it. But at this point, there's a question I asked, how have you been training? However, you may not have been training well enough according to the operation standard. But I feel you need to find a solution to that. Meaning, whatever you've been training these students, it's the same thing you should be what? Assessing them. Training and assessment are linked. There's no way you will interlink. You will say, you'll unlink training with assessment. Say, I've been training them this, now I want to assess them on this. They'll fail. You get? So that's a crisis that I feel maybe we can have discussion with the management. We'll see how we get it done in the right way. But the tools, have them follow the occupational standard. Unless in that occupational standard, okay, let me just ask a simple question. Huh? In that occupational standard, how much do you think you have done it well? According to that unit, 75%, meaning still covers what is required, the minimum. You can set assessment in relation to what you have. Ingekuwa less than 50, ingekuwa it's a big crisis. But I will wish we take over the MOU thing. If we don't have facilities now, we'll be able to solve that crisis, even for the future.
Any more questions? Okay. Let's appreciate Mr. Oloko because he's done a wonderful job. So thank you so much, Bonasibet Champion. I think you delved into the nitty-gritties of what is required of us. And so as we move, we are going for our break. But before then, I wanted to get to acknowledge our external friends so that we capture you appropriately, because we need to have your data with us as we go for the break. But I just wanted to make an emphasis in the spirit of standardization. The CBET champion gave an allowance on the number of questions that we can always set for different sections A and B, but we feel that we need to work with standard number of questions. So in my proposal, section A should be 10 questions, and section B should be 4 questions, so that we work with a total of 14 questions. And that should be standard in all our tools. So let me see by show of hands our visitors so that we get to capture your details, because we have to do your letters, and we can only do your letters as we go for the tea break. So our friends who've joined us for this exercise, could I just see where you are by show of hands so that we capture? Okay. Please let me just give you a mic. You tell us your name and where you are coming from and your area, please.
Good morning. My name is Naomi Ogoti, and I'm from Kibit, and area of specialization is building and civil.
Good morning. I'm Caroline Ongera from Kibit, building and civil.
Good morning. My name is George Omanga from Keroka Technical. Agriculture and Environmental Studies.
Good morning. I'm Nyabuto Robin, Keroka Technical, Building and Civil.
Good morning. My name is Sarah Busubori, Keroka Technical, Electrical Engineering.
Good morning. My name is Timothy Moremi from Masai Mara PVC, Building and Civil Engineering.
Good morning. My name is Charlotte Suma. I'm an industry verifier from Sarva Sands Beach Resort and Spa. Specialization is food and beverage production.
Yes, good morning. I'm Omayo Gilbert from JUST TVET, Environmental Technology.
Good morning. My name is Alex Chege from Nairobi Business.
Good morning. I'm Edna Jepchirchir from Matuga TVC, Business Management.
Okay, thank you very much. At least we can see the representation across board. So allow my colleague here to capture those details of yours. And to the rest, we can now have our tea break. So we'll have to go back to the cafeteria so that we have our tea. And then we converge here by 11:30. What? Components. When you come back. When you come back. Division. Yeah. Then you just share the code. Yeah.
Excuse me, when you come back, you will sit as per your department or area of specialization. Yeah, we'll share some copy. Don't worry, don't worry. Meal card ziko huku, usitoke bila kadi. Alafu mtapanda juu, cafeteria first floor.
That is